Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Professor, it's really about security, what the provisions are.
Well, as many Nigerians are no doubt aware, since 2010, we created the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, which has helped us to coordinate our activities as an election management body with security agencies so that the electoral process will be secure, so that we will provide security for electoral personnel and the electoral materials, as well as provide security for the voters who come out to exercise their franchise. Using this framework through this Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, we've met regularly, and I can say here that we feel satisfied that all security agencies have been working together, coordinating their activities, so that there will be adequate security provisioning for the conduct of the elections. The role of the military in particular is as defined in the Constitution, which is the military to provide support to civil authorities if there is a breakdown of law and order. Since 2011, the military, in our conceptualization and in terms of the practical role that they had played in the election, was confined to this constitutional responsibility. They are there so that if there is a breakdown of law and order which the police are unable to contain, then they could be rapidly deployed to be able to address these.
Professor, can I ask you to just clarify? So are you saying that at polling booths for these particular elections, we will not have military men on standby, rather we would have policemen? The military men will be away, and it is only if trouble breaks out that they will be called to come and intercede.
Yes, Kadria, we have never had military at the polling units. We have always had on average, 3 unarmed policemen at the polling unit. Then 300 meters away from the polling unit, as the Electoral Act provides, we have armed policemen on patrol. The mobile police are on patrol. Then we have what we call the outer peripheral cordon, manning checkpoints, border points across states to minimize movements. That is where the Army had played a role in the past. But the Army was not supposed to be visible or to be around any polling unit unless there is a breakdown of law and order and they have been invited by the Inspector General of Police. This is a constitutionally defined role, and we have respected it in our electoral process. And so really, for us, as far as we are concerned, the role of every security agency, as it affects the electoral process, is to add value, but within the constitutionally defined roles or legal roles of these agencies.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a few more questions. To the front here, the lady in yellow, yes. Microphones, please. Can you hurry it up, yeah? Thank you. And please don't forget to tell us your full name and the organization you represent before you ask your question or make your comment.
I'm a legal practitioner. I wouldn't claim to be representing any organization. I'm a registered voter.
Could you put on the mic? Thank you. Sorry. So start again, please. You have to put it on. Okay, so I apologize, especially to our TV audience who will be wondering what's going on. Okay. Give her the mic and move out of the way.
My name is Ayo Obey. I'm a legal practitioner. I don't claim to be representing any organization, but I am a registered voter. And I'm one of the, I won't say few now, who have collected their permanent voter's card, but one of a majority, but not necessarily the entirety of the registered Nigerian voters. So my question is really both to Professor Jega and to the director in charge of voter registration. Because Professor Jega had spoken about the card reader, but of course the card reader hangs on the card. And there are so many questions that come to mind in relation to that. Just off cuff, why didn't we use iris technology instead of fingerprints, knowing that we are a rural community, if we wanted to have biometric identification of voters? But beyond that, there had been a statement by INEC after the February 14th deadline approached to say that it would be satisfied with the 65% distribution of the cards. Now, that figure came out of the blue for many Nigerians, and it hadn't been explained. The rationale behind it wasn't clear, whether it was 65% in one part of the country or 65% in other parts, so that the whole exercise now became mired in controversy about the disenfranchisement of 35% of Nigerians. And it's clear now that there are some areas where there's been no distribution of cards at all. In other areas, there have been people collecting by proxy, so that... Do
you have specifics? Because then maybe they can...
Well, there was an area of Edo State where it was admitted that 3 local governments, the permanent voters' cards, I don't have the exact one, but I'm sure that the INEC personnel are very well aware of it, that there had been 3 local government areas where no distribution of cards had taken place at all. And against the background where whatever the good intentions of INEC are, they are falling into a pool of distrust. I wonder the extent to which the INEC machinery or the INEC distribution had really taken on board the importance of clarifying these issues. When we hear that 500, somebody is arrested with 500 cards, then that to us means that 500 people on the voters register don't have their cards.
Okay, so
what steps are being taken, firstly, to make sure that, I mean, apart from the distrust that's occasioned by people believing that INEC was in fact not ready on the 14th of September, that INEC has not made arrangements for those who have temporary voters' cards and are therefore on the voters' register. Okay. What arrangements are being made for them to vote? And if you are only going to use the permanent voters' card, are you not, in fact, disobeying the provisions of the Electoral Act, which require those who are registered to be able to vote, given that those with temporary voters' cards, in fact, are on the voters' register? I'll stop there.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Yes, please.
We are doing everything possible to ensure that every registered person gets his card and also participates in the electoral process. First of all, our laws, our own regulations and guidelines for distribution the cards prohibit collection by proxy. Yes, so it happens in the breach. Wherever we have information and specific people identified doing it, we have penalized them. So, but if we don't have the information, there is not much we can do about it. But collection by proxy is prohibited in our guidelines. Our staff are aware of it, and the few people whom we have evidence have done collection by proxy, we have penalized them.
What penalty? What's the penalty?
The penalty is a disciplinary action.
For INEC staff?
Yes, for INEC staff,
right,
who are supposed to distribute, who know they are not supposed to distribute. It's in fact misconduct. If you go through the disciplinary process and it's established you have done that, you may even lose your job. So, but we give them fair hearing and they go through the disciplinary process. But if we don't have that information about a specific person who has breached these guidelines, there is a limitation